So today I'm at another National Trust property, which is one of my favourite things to do in the summer. This is Cliveden, and it is predominantly a garden, but it does have a property on the grounds as well. It is, however, leased out and serves as a 5-star hotel at the moment. But if you come on the right day at the right time, then you can join one of the tours around the property. Unfortunately, it didn't line up for my visit, but do be sure to check that out before you visit because it would be fantastic to see inside the house as well. On my arrival to the property, this was one of the first things I saw, and it's this absolutely gorgeous fountain, and it's called the Fountain of Love. Could it be any better? And it's a 2-colour marble statue. It was designed and carved in Rome by Thomas Waldo Story, and the date that's carved onto it is 1897, so we can pretty much assume that's when it was designed. He was commissioned to make 3 works of art for the Cliveden property, but this one was the grandest. He wrote about the sculpture in his own personal notebook in 1920, describing how the female figures have supposedly found the fountain of love and are now experiencing the effects of its wonderful elixir. The woman on the right, who is falling back with her arms outstretched, is reaching out towards Cupid to welcome him. This is the main cafe at Cliveden. It's this beautiful glass conservatory, and it is in fact the only remaining historical glass house on the estate. There were once many similar glass houses in the Cliveden garden, which were used for growing vegetables and fruit, along with exotic plants for the house. After several alterations over the years, the conservatory became a tea room in the 1960s. It was a super hot day and I got myself a coffee and a can of sparkling water and took some time to enjoy one of our rare sunny English days. I always wonder what happened to the lost artifacts of saucers. I feel like I never get a saucer with my cappuccino anymore, and maybe I'm unusual, but I kind of miss it. Cliveden itself was built in 1666 by the 2nd Duke of Buckingham, and it was built as a gift to his mistress, and it's remained as a place of intrigue and glamour ever since. This first incarnation of the house survived for only 100 years before it was destroyed by fire in 1795. It was rebuilt in 1824, but then the second building unfortunately saw the same fate by being destroyed by fire again in 1849. It took another 2 years for a new house to be commissioned, and this, for the most part, is what you see today. It was originally known as Cliveden, the name being given to it due to its commanding position on a chalk cliff. This current incarnation of the house was designed by architect Charles Barry. He created this 3-story Italianate villa that you see today. The property was complete by the April of 1852, and a ball for 200 people was held in celebration. It was also around this time that the garden really began to take form, under the supervision of head gardener John Fleming. The garden at Cliveden became famous for its innovative use of bedding. The next phase of Cliveden history came in 1893, when America's richest man, William Waldorf Astor, bought Cliveden for $1.2 million. With their arrival, the estate entered a new era, with many of the rooms being remodeled and redecorated. During his time in Italy, the US minister had developed a love of classical sculpture, and it was him that brought many of the pieces to Cliveden that are there today. He also created the Long Garden, as well as the East Asian themed water garden, which we're going to see a bit later in this video. There's a gorgeous pagoda there, which he actually got from a Paris exhibition in 1867. The fate of Cliveden was to change dramatically yet again with the arrival of the First World War. Waldorf Astor, who was William's eldest son, offered part of the Cliveden estate to be used as a hospital to the Canadian Red Cross. He was unable to join the army himself due to failing his medical assessment. When it opened as a hospital in 1915, it could hold up to 110 patients at any one time. By the end of the war, this number had risen significantly to 600. Waldorf's wife Nancy was often seen helping out around the hospital, and she had a great personality which worked wonders on helping the patients to heal. Ministers and royalty visited the hospital, including Winston Churchill and even George V. You can also find a small Canadian World War I cemetery at the edge of the estate. I love these bright borders at the front of the house that are full of colourful flowers, and they were based upon designs made in the 1960s by Graham Stewart Thomas, who was a noted horticulturalist and former garden consultant to the National Trust. I also found the sounding chamber to be very interesting. It's believed to be one of the oldest spaces on the estate, and its original purpose actually remains a mystery. There is one theory that it may have been used as an entrance hall to the original 1670s house. There's another theory that it's the room that was referred to in the 1849 sales inventory as the sounding room, and that due to its amazing acoustics that it was possibly used for music recitals and the many balls that were held on the estate. Hello. 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 Can you hear me? Boo. Cliveden continued to have strong association with high society, meaning that it saw its fair share of celebrity and notoriety over the years. One of the most famous events to take place at Cliveden was it being a key part in the infamous Profumo affair. This saw a British Secretary of State for War, John Profumo, who was forced to resign due to his affair with model Christine Keeler. Christine was also intimately linked with a senior naval of the Soviet embassy. John had met the then 19-year-old model Christine in the swimming pool at Cliveden at a party in 1961. The brief affair became a huge political scandal that graced every newspaper of the time. It ended his entire political career and contributed to the downfall of the Conservative government in the general election in 1964. The incident completely shattered the Astors' lives, and shortly afterwards, when their son, Waldorf, died, it hastened the family's decision to leave Cliveden. Waldorf Astor gave Cliveden to the National Trust in 1942, and in 1966 the trust took over the management of the estate and opened it to the public. This was one of my favourite parts of Cliveden. It's the water garden, which was originally created shortly after William Waldorf Astor first bought the estate in 1893. The water garden's a lot of fun because it has lots of interactive things to do, like these stepping stones, and then it has this beautiful pagoda, which originally formed part of a temporary structure built for the Paris Exposition Universelle of 1867. The garden also has multiple ponds and fountains, and just generally is such a beautiful way to spend a summer's day. I loved this tree with the red bark. I've never seen one of these before in England, and I've struggled to find what type of tree it is. So if anyone knows, if you could put it in the comments, I'd be very appreciative. I can smell this. Oh, just walking through, it's so nice. One of the other super cool things about this property is that it has its very own maze, which is made from more than 1,000 2-meter high yew trees, creating 500 meters of winding paths. It's actually pretty difficult. I'm in the maze. Let's see if I can get out. It's quite a big one. It's definitely one of the biggest ones that I've been in. It's so humid today. I'm so hot and sweaty. I think it cheats a bit because you can only go one way. So it's the maze that you can't get lost in, I think. Oh, I spoke too soon. Oh no. It's actually quite a difficult one. There's so many entrances and ways out. I'm just gonna go this way. Let's see. Oh no. It's quite difficult. Do you think that I can cheat a bit with the selfie stick? Because I'm actually stuck. I'm lost. So I made it. I have no idea how to get out. That's the problem. Maybe I can cheat by standing on here. Oh my gosh. The Cliveden maze was built for Lord Astor in 1894, and it was last plotted on an Ordnance Survey map in 1923. Unfortunately, by the late 1930s, it had virtually disappeared apart from a few surviving yew trees. However, luckily, Lord Astor's maze designs were discovered in the archives of the National Trust in 2005, allowing them to recreate the maze just as it was. The Cliveden maze took over 2 years to create, and the most challenging part of the project was finding enough fully grown yew trees to complete it. This is the gorgeous long garden with its amazing topiary, and this year they've decided to plant lots of vegetables in the ground, although sometimes you will see these flower beds full of different types of flowers. I did see pictures of the tulips and they looked absolutely gorgeous. I would love to catch those. These are one of Cliveden's more famous sculptures, the Cliveden baboons, and they are granite statues thought to be between 2,000 and 2,500 years old. They were originally created to flank the entrance of an Egyptian temple, and they are believed to represent the Egyptian god of writing and wisdom, Thoth. Thoth was often depicted with the head of a baboon, which is considered to be a sacred animal. The pair were purchased by William in Rome in 1898, and he placed them in his newly designed long garden along with many other pieces from his collection. They were actually lost for many years from the property as they went into private ownership. They were amazingly donated back to the National Trust in the early 21st century. Unfortunately, by this point, they were in quite bad state of repair. One baboon in particular was worse than the other and had broken into several pieces in an unfortunate fall. Their return to the garden was only made possible by visitors who contributed over £12,000 to their conservation and reinstallation by buying a ticket to the annual raffle. They also had some vegetables and plants for sale in the shop. Unfortunately, there was no vegetables left, and because I was going away after this for a few days, I couldn't take anything with me, sadly.